I love doing opera out of the opera house. There's something really special about finding a new and different place to do opera.
Get another baggage with their funny names!
The intensity and the power of the show, I guess, was a little bit, I don't know if it was shocking or surprising necessarily, but I guess I expected maybe there to be a little bit more of a lull here and there, but I kind of felt like it was full throttle the whole time.
When I entered combat in my room stage, I listened to Metallica to keep me in a rage. In January of 2017, Des Moines Metro Opera was pleased to partner with Camp Dodge in Johnston, Iowa, to present an on-site performance of David T. Little's one-act opera, Soldier Songs. The opera was part of our Second Stages series, which aims to strengthen the bonds of community collaboration. This was our first partnership with a non-cultural entity, with the idea being that cross-pollination between two core groups' constituencies would lead to deeper understanding of each other's works and a greater experience for the audience. Our research shows us that 40% of the audience members who attended Soldier Songs were new to Des Moines Metro Opera. We're proud that we were able to use our art form to shine a light on the struggles faced by veterans and on areas that many of us would rather not look at. Through this production, we also discovered the value of linking subject matter and story to the venue of the performance, and we learned that audiences respond well when they see their stories told on stage. This production demonstrated that opera is well equipped, I believe, to deal with topical and current subject matter, and we learned that audiences are very hungry to see new American contemporary operas.
One of the interesting things about producing Soldier Songs at Camp Dodge is that it made us rethink what the piece might be about and our approach to the piece. I think when you're doing a piece like this for a civilian audience, you might make it more theatrical or more abstract or a little more, dare I say, artsy-fartsy. Doing it in the reality of the deployment hall at Camp Dodge with military personnel in the audience and as consultants on the piece has made us grounded in a kind of reality that I think is really different and is really interesting. Of course, we've been able to incorporate some actual military equipment into the setting, which is extraordinary. They've given us 2 Humvees to use, which were great, the kind of things we wouldn't be able to build for ourselves. And that lends a kind of reality to what we're doing that we just wouldn't have if we were doing it someplace else.
I think it's really easy for combat to feel far away and to feel distant in the mind. And being in this place, it brings it a little closer in a way, which I think is part of what I want the piece to do, is to have civilians understand the difficulty that one experiences in combat, because it is frightening. I mean, the piece has moments that are frightening.
Something's got to stop and
We're working with volume levels that are somewhat unusual in opera because there's a realism that we want to try to portray. So it makes it kind of a different experience for an opera audience, which I think is great and I think is exciting and kind of pushes the form in that way, but also serves to make that connection in the perception of what war and combat are.
There were key moments in each of the three acts that really resonated. The Captain America T-shirt in the childhood. I'm a big superhero buff, and then moving into the second act, I've been deployed 3 times, once to the Middle East, twice to Afghanistan. So some of the visuals that were on the screens were dead on. Obviously the uniform he's wearing is current, so I mean I've worn that uniform for the last 16 years. And then in the final act, I think the piece was written as it was a transition from him, from Mike as a child to a soldier to an adult. Mike as the soldier was the one that was lost, and that was his father that found out that Mike had been lost, and so that really resonated as well.
These personal connections, these bridges that we built, this sort of peaks that we get into what it's like to feel like they feel. I'm not really sure there's another way that you could do that. You could read 1,000 books. You could watch documentaries and movies and look at war footage, but until you actually look into these guys' eyes and you see, you can literally see the trauma when they talk about things. Well, Christine and I had, and Michael Eagle, had the privilege to meet a few Iraq and Afghanistan vets from the Iowa National Guard. Talk as little as we could and just let them sort of tell us what it was like. The thing that I took from that meeting more than anything was how often the things that they said, unprompted, extemporaneously, mirrored what I say here on the stage. There were several times we just look at, like I would look at Christine like, I say that. You feel like, okay, well, I guess we're on the right track.
One of the things that I've really grown to appreciate about this piece, and maybe it's also the context in which we're doing it, is the way that theater can be an emotional experience and not always an intellectual or dramaturgical experience. This is a piece made up of 11 songs, and they're loosely connected together. There's an arc, certainly, but it's a little more abstract than, say, your normal opera. And I've really enjoyed the idea that this is a piece where we can give a flavor of things, try to get to an emotional reality, pose a lot of questions about the experience of being an American soldier and what that means, but not necessarily try to answer all of those questions. So I think this is a piece that allows the audience space to have an emotional connection, to have an intellectual opinion, and maybe to ask some questions themselves of what it is we ask people to do and the way that we receive them back after they've done it.
I think this is huge in building that connection and that empathy. I don't think that our news really does it justice at all, of course. And then in movies, I think that there's some with the right intent, but it just doesn't happen for a lot of reasons. This was done in such a beautiful way that I think for the military, they can connect with it and in a healthy way. To me, it's really, really powerful because there's so many people out there trying to understand or explain post-traumatic stress. Maybe what we should be trying to do as a society is caring for each other and just say, you know, I don't fully understand it, but I understand that you have gone through a lot and I want to care for you. And so I think it can be really powerful in that way.
At Des Moines Metro Opera, our programming goals include featuring the stories of our own time. By so doing, we believe that we create an environment in which the arts are in meaningful exchange with the audience. Our performances must include and reflect the struggles faced by families and communities of today. In a world that can seem more and more prone to division and misunderstanding, musical storytelling through opera allows all of us to experience much more deeply what it means to be human. Thank you for your interest and support in Des Moines Metro Opera's production of Soldier Songs at Camp Dodge.